He is asking, will you please tell me if the Claiming Age Clarity Act, which passed through Congress, is a sneaky way to raise full retirement age?
All right. Well, this has been a question that's come up a lot here. It's come up in actually on our videos and some of the comments, and even on our website, hollyschmidt.com. First of all, just a clarifying point about the Claiming Age Clarity Act. I'm not sure I could say that 3 times fast, but anyway, it hasn't passed through Congress. It passed through the House of Representatives. For some reason, there's a myth out there that both the House and the Senate, i.e. Congress, has passed this act and it's waiting to get signed by the president. It has not. In fact, it was passed through the House of Representatives on December 1st of 2025, and it's been with the Senate Finance Committee ever since. And for those of you that don't know what the Senate Finance Committee does, they're responsible for Social Security. They're responsible for Medicare, Medicaid, taxes. They're responsible for all the treasury functions in the country, funding the country, and trade policy. So when you're talking about the Senate Finance Committee, you're talking about a committee that, number one, is really powerful, and number two, is really busy, especially now. So it has not passed through Congress. It's passed through the House of Representatives. And so what is this bill that's sitting in front of the Senate right now? And what's everybody concerned about? Well, the bill is basically a naming bill. And what it means is if you look at Social Security, every claiming age, at least at the ends and in the one point in the middle, has a specific term that the Social Security Administration uses. For example, the minimum benefit age is the new term for what was called the early eligibility age. Now, is that an important distinction? Maybe, but we'll talk about whether that's an important distinction because someone's trying to, or a group of people are trying to put something through Congress and put something through the American people. The current full retirement age would be replaced with the standard benefit age, and the maximum monthly benefit age would replace delayed retirement credits. And so basically you've got new terms for the same thing. And the question comes up, why would you rename these unless you were trying to do something sneaky? Yeah, I mean, historically, if you look at some of the bills that have gone through, there's been some sneakiness. And it doesn't matter which side of the aisle. A bill that goes through and has one name doesn't really have anything to do with that one name, or very little to do with that one name. You can look back in the last 50 years and it's been the same thing over and over again. We just are seeing it because we're living it live, and we have been for the last 20 years. So I would say that in this instance, probably not. Probably not. Let me tell you why. First of all, it was sponsored by one person from the Democratic Party, one person from the Republican Party. Aaron Bean is a Republican in Florida, and Val Hoyle is a Democrat in Oregon, and they co-sponsored the bill. It's supported by AARP. And so if you start to think about, or largely supported, I don't know if they've put the full weight of the organization behind it, but they've made positive comments about it, or at least not negative comments about it. They have commented about it, and the comments have been generally favorable. So I don't think that this is something people need to worry about. I could be wrong, but usually the stuff that gets put through that's sneaky, you usually have one side that has a very strong view, which is opposite of the other side. And so when you think about some of the legislation that's made its way through Congress and through various presidents, they made it through barely. Almost always they made it through barely, and the other side was very loud about not supporting it, but it made it through. Here, there are 2 or 3 things that people really need to focus on, in my opinion, and that is Social Security is a bipartisan, has bipartisan support. The Republicans and the Democrats both have said time and time again that they are here to support Social Security. They don't want cuts to Social Security, and they will defend Social Security. It's not like some of the other things that have gone through, and you have very different opinions depending on the party. So that, I think that's the big thing. Then the other issue is that, or the other point is that it started off as bipartisan support. Now, when you see anything go through Congress that has bipartisan support, you need to understand what's going on in the background. Things need to get done. When you're a politician, if you're not signing something into a law or vetoing something or voting against something, then you have a constituency that actually has an issue, and that you're either not supporting them or you're not defending them. So having something put through, even if it's just a naming change, is better than not doing anything at all. And you'll see a lot of this type of activity that most people don't ever hear about. And so this, if it gets passed by the Senate, I don't know if it will or not, but if it gets passed by the Senate and gets signed by the president, undoubtedly there will be an email coming out from the people who support it saying, hey, we're looking out for you. We want to make things clear. Does the bill have some valid points? Sure. Anytime you change the name of something and you make it either more clear or less clear, you're going to have a body of people that react differently to it. It's just human nature. So we'll calling early eligibility age, minimum benefit age, change the view of somebody? Perhaps. Will calling full retirement age, standard benefit age, change the view of somebody? Perhaps. I would say that for the people who actually do the reading, probably not. But I would also tell you that there's a portion of the voter base that really just is very emotive in terms of how they vote. And so the same thing is true about how they make decisions on things like Social Security. There was a report that was put out that suggested, and I believe that this is true, people spend more time focusing on their next vacation than they do on which age to claim Social Security. And it's sad because it's a big decision for somebody, but if it's treated like something you throw on the table at the checkout stand, well, then you're not going to optimize, I suppose. Here, changing the words will undoubtedly change the behavior if it goes through. Whether it will change it for the people watching this live stream, I doubt it. For a large portion of you're watching a live stream about Social Security, you're educating yourself. But for a large portion of the population, they don't do it. This is Jeff Schmidt speaking. I wouldn't read too much into this. Number one, it still has to pass the Senate. Number two, it has support from both the Republicans and the Democrats. And number three, AARP supports, or at least doesn't negatively support it. It doesn't negatively decline the concept. They actually support the idea. So net, I don't think it's a huge deal. We'll see in 10 years. But there isn't really a scenario where this plays out and 2 or 3 or 4 years from now, someone comes back and they try to sneak an increase in full retirement age through. That just doesn't happen. You can't sneak that through. And you've got a voter base of 57 million people who are receiving Social Security. And if they had something like that snuck through, they'll vote. And 57 million people can change a lot of political lives for the worse if they make the wrong decision. So that's a long-winded way of saying, don't worry about it. I don't think there's anything there. I could be wrong, but a lot has to happen before it even makes it to the point where it gets to a vote in the Senate. The House or the Senate needs to, the Senate Finance Committee needs to support it first.